At this time, I would like to call to order a meeting of the Durant City Council. If you would please stand with me as we have an invocation and a salute to our flag. Let's pray together. God, our Father in heaven, we're so thankful, Lord, for your presence here. We're so thankful for your blessing on this city, for its citizens, for its staff. God, we pray that you would continue to watch over us, protect us, lead us and guide us, keep us safe. God, and we pray for your wisdom and for your courage in the things that we do. We pray, Lord, that everything we do will bring glory and honor to your name. And we pray a special blessing on those families that are represented here and on the city of Durant. Lord, all these things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. If you would face the flag, please, and join me in a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Would you please be seated? Now, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Shear.
Here.
Councilmember Fuller.
Here.
Vice Mayor Simulescu.
Here.
Mayor Tucker.
Here. At this time, I would invite all the council and the city manager down front as we present service awards. We enjoy this portion of the city council meeting where we get to celebrate the service that some of our staff have committed to the city of Durant. Tonight we're celebrating 115 years of combined service to the city of Durant, so we're very happy about that. One of our people is out on the fire right now, so I would start with him, but we may wait till later. So if you're the 30-year person and he comes in after you, no disrespect, but he's on a fire, from what I understand. So we're going to start with Mr. Thomas Billy to receive a 10-year award. And if you would please bring your family down as well. If you have family, we'd love to have them and appreciate them as well. He didn't do this all by himself. Thomas is 10 years on the police force. He's receiving a certificate of appreciation from the city, a pen, and a check for $100. Thank you, Thomas. Next is Matthew Polson, also 10 years on the police force. And Matthew, if you have family, bring them on down. He said, nope, I'm working. Oh, here they are. Come on. Come on. Here we go. Matthew will also receive a certificate of appreciation from the city, a pen, and a check for $100 as well. Next, we have Nick Spencer, also of the police award, a 10-year award. Come on down, Nick. Nick's going to be presented with a certificate of appreciation, a pen, and a check for $100 as well. Great job. Here we go. Thank you, Nick. Dylan is here. It reminds me of the three wise men that came from afar, right? He literally came from afar. Dylan Garcia, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. He's still a little sweaty. Dylan, 5 years on the fire department, and he receives a certificate and a pen and a check for $50, and he's in a hurry. Thank you, Dylan. All right, now the 20-year awards. First, we start with Amber Candejas of the Dispatch. Is Amber here? Here she comes. Come on down, Amber. Amber receives a plaque and a certificate and a pen and a check for $200. All right, thank you, Amber. Thank you very much. Our next recipient, James Scott of the Street Department. Here's James. 20 years with the Street Department. James will also receive a plaque and a certificate and a pen and a check for $200. Now, James, you got pen? Thank you, James. Wonderful. Our final person tonight to be recognized for 30 years of service to the city of Durant is Dustin Rudolph of the fire department. Come on down, Dustin. Thank you very much. Thank you. Dustin receives a plaque, a certificate, a pen, and a check for $300. That's everybody. That's quite a commitment to the city of Durant. 115 combined years of service to the city. We're thankful for each and every one of these employees and also their families who support them. Our next presentation, we have a couple of proclamations from the city that I want to read and pass on. We don't have people to present these to, so I'll read these quickly. First of all is a proclamation for autism awareness and acceptance. This is the month designated for autism awareness and acceptance, April 2024. And so whereas autism affects 1 in 44 children and is a complex disorder that affects each person differently, resulting in unique strengths and challenges, and whereas autism can cause challenges with verbal and nonverbal communication, social interaction, and repetitive behaviors, and can affect anyone, regardless of age, race, ethnicity, gender, or socioeconomic backgrounds. The City of Durant is honored to take part in the annual observance of Autism Awareness Month and World Autism Day to address the diverse needs of individuals and families affected by autism. And now, therefore, I, Martin Tucker, the mayor of the City of Durant, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim April 2024 as Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month in the City of Durant, Oklahoma, to increase the understanding and acceptance of Oklahomans with autism spectrum disorder. Thank you. I have one more proclamation to make tonight, a proclamation declaring the month of April as Fair Housing Month in the City of Durant, whereas the City of Durant decrees that all citizens affirm to follow the concepts, practices, and intent embodied by the laws of the United States of America and the state of Oklahoma and the City of Durant in regard to fair housing, and whereas the City of Durant has designated the month of April annually as Fair Housing Month and encourages each citizen to implement the provisions of those acts, and whereas the mayor of the City of Durant, that'd be me, designates Community Development Director as the Fair Housing Activities Coordinator and requests that any person or group of persons planning activities to promote fair housing to inform the Fair Housing Activities Coordinator of said activities. Now, therefore, I, Martin Tucker, Mayor of the City of Durant, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 as Fair Housing Month. So thank you for that as well. Next, we have on the agenda is where we call for citizen comments. I had a person sign up for comments, but unfortunately, the item that they want to make a comment on is an agenda item for tonight's meeting, and because of that, we don't allow for them to make comments on something that we're about to address in an open meeting anyway. So perhaps at some point in the near future, we could circle back to that, but that's one of the things that we expressly do not allow from the city's perspective. So next, our first order of business is item number 1, consent item. There are several items on there that have to do with the approval of minutes of prior meetings and a budget supplement that was in your board packet and a approval of a recommendation to the tourism board. Are there any comments or motions to make on that?
Motion to approve all consent items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu,
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes. There were no items removed from the consent item, so we'll pass on to agenda item number 3, information items, which are the financial statements from February of this year and the sales tax report from March of this year, and we have Ms. Ann Chin to present that.
The paper, that one, okay, the first one, just like,
And pull that microphone closer to you. Yeah, thank you.
is that better? Okay. The first one is general fund, and, let's see. And the highlight light blue, that is the revenue that is, the February is supposed to be 66.67 completed for the year. And the highlight, the blue is over that, what we budgeted it. So the overall, our revenue is if not including the fund balance, is 73.51, which means higher than the 66.67. And the overall, including the fund balance, that would be the 61.99, a little bit lower. But for our expense, you can see that most of the department is not over the 67%. So the older department average is 57.81, which means it's lower than the 66%. And including the transfer out, that is about 5808. But I have to point out, there's a 2 transfer, we haven't done it yet. So, but still, the 5808 is lower than the 66%.
Positive variance, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
And the capital improvement, actually, this is just for your information, let you know that what kind of project we are doing right now. And then the top is the revenue that we get the transfer, we got the loan money involved, and we also have the grant involved with it. So this is how we have the revenue and the expense. The expense is the capital improvement project that we're still going on. Yeah. And the third one is our DCUA, Utility Authority. That is also our major revenue. And you can see that our revenue is year to date is 10,267,000, and our expense is 8,228,000. And I have to say again, this year we only transfer out 2 million. In the past, we transfer out about 4 million.
Right.
So,
Very good.
Is there any
Good.
question about this major fund, this 3 funds? Okay, next is our sales tax breakdown. And this one, you can see that the first one, 2, I put it on red. This is the 3% that we can use for our cities. The bottom 4 of them is really we receiving the money for the sales tax, and then we turn around, transfer out, or issue the check out. So actually that we can use is 1% capital improvement and the 2% for the general fund. That is the money that we can use. And this month, not this month, the March is 1,651,625.95. And the next page is for the average 1% sales tax revenue for the 10 years information. And you can see that this month compared to the same year last year, the same month, that is a slightly decrease. It's about 4,000 less than the last year, the same month. But still, for the, how to say that, the compared to the prior year, the same period, we still got about 1.85 increase. And then in the center, there's a small box here. Yes, that one. You will see that I say that DISA monthly, that is the one that we issue the check. That is 5/8 of the sales tax that I just mentioned at the bottom one. That is the money we're receiving. And then we turn around, issue the check to the Durant Independent School District. So that is not our money we can use. And then the last one, last page, this is the monthly kind of like average trend. And you can see that we are fortunate that over the past 10 years, the trend is still slightly increased. So hope we can keep doing this.
It's increasing at a decreasing rate. Is that what you would say?
Okay, is there any question?
Any questions of Ann? This is an information item, nothing to vote on. Appreciate the information, Ann. Thank you very much. Next, we'll move into the administration portion of the agenda item. This is item 4. So 4A is to consider acceptance of last year's annual financial statements and audit report, which looks like this. I think everyone's had a chance to review that. We've had it presented, and we have folks here to present as well again.
This is our auditor. It's from the HBC
Yep.
CPA. Yeah, and then he will answer. Christopher Ham.
Yep.
Yeah, he will answer any question that you.
Any comments to make, Mr. Hahn?
I guess you've reviewed the financial statements. If you would like me to walk through them, I'm not sure.
Please.
Okay.
Not every page.
Right. Okay. Well, I saw the big crowd here, and I felt bad for them, going over the audit here. But so I will start off on page 5, which is our auditor's report. First, I would like to thank Ann because she does a great job and very detailed and very quick for our responses. So we appreciate her hard work on everything she does. So I'm going to start off on page 5, which is our auditor's report. And just the first paragraph there states that we have audited the financial statements. And then the second paragraph states, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. That is a clean opinion, and that's the best opinion that we can offer as auditors. So what does that exactly mean? It means that the next 90 pages that follow can be relied upon, that we have audited those numbers. So from there, I'm going to go to page 12, but I'm going to mention something real quick. You engage Crawford and Associates to prepare the financial statements, so they prepare these 90 pages. Right. We're then putting an opinion. We then audit those numbers and put an opinion on those numbers. So on page 12, this is a management discussion and analysis, and it is a great comparison of the 2023 year compared to the 2022 year. And this is the entire government combined in this small little schedule here. So I'm going to look at that far right column, 2023, current and other assets of $60.4 million. So that is down approximately 4% from the prior year, but cash was up, cash investments were up. The pension asset was the thing that went down the most, that then caused the decrease in your current assets, the current and other assets. So, we can talk about the pension plans. It's pretty detailed, but those kind of wildly fluctuate based on the returns and investments, the contributions that the city's making to the plans, and so the pension asset did go down, and that's the reason for that decrease. Then I'm going to just go to the very bottom and focus on the net position and look at the unrestricted net position, which is available for the city to use, and we are at $27.4 million, up from $22.5 $5 million in the prior year. So, and you can see on that schedule, from about 2015, we have a steady increase in your net position all the way up to 2023. So, good growth there. So from there, I'm going to go to the next page. Similar is the changes in net position, which shows the revenues and expenditures for 2023 compared to 2022, again focusing on the far right column. The major fluctuations are the other taxes and revenues. That is due to an increase in the TIF funding. And then on expenditures, there's some pretty big fluctuations. A lot of that's classifications. In the general government, Ann pointed this out, that the funds, those were booked in the general government in the prior year. That moved down to economic development. So it looks like there was a wild swing, but it's just classification issues there. So, and then at the very bottom, increase in net position, essentially the net income for the city was 7.4 in the current year, down from 8.9 in the prior year. So that is a summary of the government at large. I'm going to skip to page 21. I'm not going to go over the numbers here, but this is essentially what we just looked at in that really small schedule. It's just broken down into more detail. So if you need support on, what did those numbers consist of, it's right here. And again, on the next page, 22, same thing, that revenues and expenses that we just looked at, although this one's a little more complicated to look at. It's the government at large here, statement of activities. Next, I'm going to go to page 24 very briefly and look at the general fund. And the only number I'm going to focus on here is the bottom number on the general fund column. So the fund balance, unassigned fund balance, we have an unassigned fund balance of $11.2 million. So that represents the amount of funds that the government, the general fund, can use on an ongoing basis. So, we compare that to revenues and expenses. And, we see governments anywhere from 10 to 30% that are healthy unassigned fund balances. This one was about 65% in the general fund, so very healthy unassigned fund balance in your general fund. So from there, I'm going to go to the, page 29. Same thing here. We've already looked at kind of the government at large. I'm going to look at the unrestricted net position for the enterprise funds, and it is at $8.6 million. And again, comparing that to, snapshot in time, comparing that to revenues or expenditures, it's over, well over 50% of your revenues and expenses, which is, again, a very healthy unrestricted net position for the enterprise funds. I'm going to go over one more report, but the more you move back on these financial statements, just the more detail you're going to get. So if you want to know what's in cash, there's a detailed schedule of what we're invested in cash. If you want to know about the debt, there's detailed notes about the debt and the schedules within the debt. So I'm not gonna go over those, but I will jump to the very last, page 89. And this is a report on internal control and compliance. This is what we call a byproduct of what we do. So we were engaged to form an opinion on your financial statements, and we did that in the first report. In this report, as we're performing our procedures, we do look at your internal controls, and if you're in compliance with state statutes, if you abided by the bidding laws, and things of that nature. So if we found anything that was an issue with your internal controls or compliance, we would report that in this report here. We did have a finding in the prior year, which was payroll related. That was corrected. And so in the current year, we did not have any findings on internal control or compliance. So I'm going to open it up to questions, but really, good news on the audit. It didn't have any findings, clean report, and the numbers are looking really good for the city. So I will open it up from there. So.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Hine? Appreciate the report. Good.
Yep.
Very good. Appreciate the work that your firm does as well to produce this report. No questions of anyone? I'm the only one that really reads these often, Chris.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a good report.
Yeah.
Unqualified audit, you can't beat that, and no recommendation. So, thank you again for the work.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, item 4B is discussion, consideration, and possible approval of an ordinance amending the employee retirement system, defined benefit plan for the city of Durant, Oklahoma, providing retirement benefits for eligible employees of the city of Durant, Oklahoma, pertaining to the definition of employee, providing for repealer and severability, and declaring an emergency. The floor is yours.
Yes. So basically what this ordinance is doing is it's amending our current agreement to include all full-time non-union employees. Previously, the city manager was not included in this, but with the contract, she'll be making contributions into this plan.
So that's really the change,
Yes.
in effect, that we're trying to achieve here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the board packet. Everyone have a chance to read that. Any questions regarding this change at all? Do we hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 4B.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item 4B. The clerk will call the roll, please.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu,
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes. Next is item number 4C, consider award of bid of real estate parcel located at the intersection of Big Lots Parkway and 9th Avenue. Mr. Rumsey.
Mayor and council, this is the property, the first one's the property down at Big Lots Parkway and the corner of 9th Street. It's a small, narrow piece of property the city owns. It was voted on by the council to put it out for bids. Bids were open March 22nd. We received one bid in the amount of $15,100 from Vision Bank, and staff recommends approval of selling the property to Vision Bank.
Do you have the square footage? The square footage?
It's a 80 by 535 foot. It's basically the right of way of the road, the old road that runs through there.
Comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion that we accept the bid made by Vision Bank for $15,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
No.
Councilmember Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu,
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes. Next is item 4D.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Please.
Back on 4A, we need a motion to accept the audit report.
Oh, my bad.
It's not an ordinance or anything, but it's just a motion to accept.
I move that the city of Durant accepts the audit report presented by Mr. Heim for the FY 2022 and 2023 statements of the city of Durant,
Second.
including their single audit.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu,
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes. Now to item 4D, consider award of bid for real estate located at 301 North 16th Street here in Durant. Mr. Rumsey.
Mayor and council, this is the old senior citizen building. This is our third attempt to sell it, go out for bids. As you recall, we had it appraised in April of 2023, and it appraised at $331,000. But it was later determined that one of the big walk-in outside freezers did not belong to the city. It belonged to one of the organizations that help run the center, and it was removed, which would lower the value of the property. This time we received 2 bids. The highest bid was KidLink Child Care Academy here in Durant with a bid of $245,000. Staff recommends approval of the selling of the property.
Questions on this track? Comments for Mr. Rumsey?
There was discussion at one time about earmarking this money for possible animal shelter. Do we need to do that in this motion?
No. We got to get the money first before we spend it.
Yeah, this
Right.
would just be accept to the bid
Right.
for purchase. That's what's on the agenda.
Right.
So,
Any other comments or questions? Do I hear a motion to approve or pass?
I make a motion to accept the bid for $245,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on agenda item 4D. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu,
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes. Next is item number 4E. Consider approval to declare a city-owned 2003 laydown machine as surplus and put it out for bids. Mr. Hightower.
Mayor, council. This lay-down machine is now at the shop. Estimated cost of repairing it's over $100,000. So I think it's in our best interest it's 2003 model, so we're looking at budgeting for a new one. We'd like to surplus this one and put it out for bid to sell it.
Any questions for Mr. Hightower? I make a motion that we approve putting this laydown machine out as declared as surplus and put it out for bids.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu,
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes. Next
Thank
is
y'all.
item number 4F. Consider approval of a bid award to C3 Construction Incorporated in the amount of $1,375,563.58 for the Oklahoma Department of Transportation Alternative Program grant to continue Rails to Trails project contingent upon Southeastern Oklahoma State University securing the required additional match of $66,556.43 to construct the Choctaw Creek pedestrian bridge. The floor is
Correct.
yours.
And I actually spoke with Dr. Newsome at about 4 o'clock this afternoon, and they have secured the funds.
They're ready to go.
Yes, they're ready to go. So there will be some more fundraising to help assist with that, but they're ready to cut the check so that this project that started back in 2016 and has been funded by many citizens and organizations, that we can finally move forward with this project.
Comments or questions? Do we have a motion?
A motion to approve 4F.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item number 4F. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu,
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Next is item number 4G, discuss a recycling program with Hoffman Sanitation, and I believe Mr. Stuart Hoffman is here for that discussion.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm going to come and bring y'all flyers to look at. There was a question last time about tin cans. This will make it easy to know what we can and cannot recycle. Thank you. So since the last time, we've got a better timeline of when we want to move forward. We're going to try to start June 1st would be when we would offer it to the public. Now, that being said, we could sign people up before that and just say, hey, we're going to start your service June 1st. We're looking to do in the city limits of Durant, in the city limits of Calera to start out, obviously contingent upon future approval by the council to allow us to pick up that kind of curbside service. Any questions for me about recycling? I know there were some questions last time we couldn't really answer because it wasn't really a discussion item.
How will this work?
How will it
Yep.
work? So in my mind, the way we would do it is we'd have a service agreement of some sort between myself and the city that we could pick up curbside recycling within the city limits. We're going to charge the customer, collect the money, and perform the job. I would tell you that through research, if you get 10% participation out of a town, you're doing pretty good. And if I would say that if we get to a number higher than that, say 15%, then we go back and look and say, okay, maybe the city should do this for everybody. Make the rate a whole lot lower, get cans across the board for everybody, and then move at it from there. So kind of along your questions, this is kind of the pilot program to see if it'll even work here. And I think we would all agree that we're probably behind the times when it comes to recycling, not only in Durant, but all of Bryan County. Same type thing with Calera, as far as setting it up for them to do it within the city coffers if they wanted to. Obviously, the big cost here is carts. They're about $65 a piece, times however many customers you guys have, which I think is in the neighborhood of 8,000. You can do the math pretty quick. It's a pretty big expense right off the bat. So this would give us the opportunity to see if it'll even work. Does that answer your question the right way?
Well, I have more, but that's a start.
Who will be processing it for you?
I cannot say because the master service agreement's not in place yet, but if you remember the last meeting, it's the same person as we mentioned in the last meeting.
So the city would buy all these carts?
No, we have carts.
You're
We actually have
supplying
200 of them on the ground. I have pictures of them. I can walk up there and show you. They're yellow, really bright yellow, say Hoffman Sanitation on the side. They actually have a version of this on the lid so people know what can and can't go in there. Of course, it says the same old thing about place this in towards the street and don't set fires in it and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, we went with a bright yellow so that they would stand out, not only for us to be able to pick our carts, but also someone go, hey, what's that?
What would you anticipate, like a pickup schedule? Would it be on everyone's regular trash day, or is there one day a week for recyclables?
It would be one day a week for recyclables. If I was picking a day right now, I'd say it would be Fridays. And that would be everybody that was in Durant. You know, if we have 100 customers, we would get all those 100 on Friday. Could be Wednesday, but today it would be a Friday.
How much is the surcharge for this?
So if you're going to sign up, it would be $20. And again, that's to start off. That's covering carts, labor, trucks, all that kind of stuff. Once we figure out where we're at, how many people are going to participate, that cost could come down.
This might be a question for Philip, but would this interfere with our Friday routes?
Probably not. It depends on how many cans there is.
Yeah, where are your Friday routes at?
Friday routes is the south side, southeast.
Yeah, I mean, we pass each other on the road, and I don't think it would interfere too much. But again, if there's another day that works better, I mean, I know Wednesdays is not a day you pick up, correct?
Wednesday's the only pickup we have are commercial.
Yeah, so we could do Wednesdays if we needed to. We just have a truck that does not have a route on Fridays right now. That's kind of the reason we were looking at Fridays.
So my question is, does there need to be an agreement for this between your firm and the city? I understand there is an ordinance in place that has to do with the collection of refuse. This is separate from that, and I don't know that you're not particularly asking for exclusivity from the city that no one else could pick up recyclables. It's just that something that
I would
you want
prefer
to do.
that, but
Mr. Mayor, I think there actually does. There is a provision, 5103, provides exclusive right for refuse. Refuse is then further defined as garbage and trash. Garbage and trash are each defined, and I think most of these recyclables would fall under the definition of trash. So while the city has an exclusive right, that's a right that can be conferred. And so I think there would need to at least be some sort of agreement between the parties so that it's not just everyone can come in, because I think the city does maintain the exclusive right. For example, it's my opinion that Mr. Hoffman's company couldn't just come in and do it without permission of the city, because I think most of these recyclables fall under the ordinance definition of trash, which the city has the exclusive right to. But we could confer that right upon a private company with an agreement with the city.
And, you know, I'm open to saying, hey, you know, that's some of my trash, there's some revenue that we should see. I think that's maybe in some negotiations that we might want to do. The problem is that we don't really know how much is going to get picked up, how many people are going to do it.
Prove the concept first and then
Right.
negotiate the points of the agreement if there is one. Right.
And I said, we have 200 carts on the ground. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit getting them here, but I did that to propel you and Clear. And so, you know, it depends on who you talk to. Some people say, hey, 200 carts is going to last you forever. If you talk to some other people, he might tell you 200 carts you're going to burn through in a week. And if that's the case, then we'll order some more.
So my thought would be that we direct the city manager and the city attorney to develop the framework at least, or an agreement between the city and your firm to go into this as a test, proof of concept, pilot program, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have to be a long-term agreement, to then, so that you could legally perhaps dip your foot in the pool and see if that's something you want to jump into or not.
Sure.
And I think that would be the right way perhaps to approach this. And I'm open to questions, comments, or concerns from the council.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. I mean, where do you haul to? Where do you take these?
To the recycling or the or trash? Again, I'm not supposed to say publicly anyway, but it's going where you think it's going.
Okay. Thank you.
And we're supposed to have that service agreement done by the 15th of May, so that then we could promote it of, hey, this is where we're going. I actually had a meeting today, and they said, hey, just be careful about mentioning our name. But
On the contract side of it, is this something, if we enter into a contract, that we have to open it for bids?
I don't think so. I think this could be something, since it is a right of the city, I think we could engage. I mean, there might be, it'd be hard to imagine this is an enterprise that's going to have multiple.
No, I'm not saying I think we're going to get others. I'm just out of process. Is
yeah.
that a formality we need to do?
And that's why I think a relatively short term.
At least on the initial, since there's probably not a lot of revenue to be. I mean, this probably isn't going to be initially a revenue. Maybe we engage in a 6-month or a 1-year trial period, after which then it's reevaluated, and it appears to be maybe somebody can make some money at it, and so we put it out there for bid.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to have the parties enter into some contract negotiations and then present what they agree to, at least to us, for consideration at that point.
yeah, I mean, so you're thinking about revenue-wise. If you had 5% saturation, that's going to give you 400 customers. That's $8,000 a month. I mean, it's not a ton of revenue.
Right.
But what it is doing is taking us in the right step forward. It's also lowering your weight bill, not by a bunch with 400 customers, but
Have you done recycling other places, or this is the first go around?
the place for me,
Yep.
you guys in Clear are the first.
Huh.
We wanted it close to home so we could kind of manage it really well and be right on top of it. I can tell you that there are some towns north and east that have expressed interest in doing it town-wide, but they're 200 to 300 customer towns where it would be much easier for them to do that. And they were talking about, you know, the rates are all over the place, but $5 to $15 more per month on a city water bill or city utility bill to provide that. Of course, if you're getting 300 right on top of each other, it's a whole lot easier to do it for that rate.
I will say that I think it would be advantageous because anything that you can recycle, and I'm a big proponent of recycling, doesn't go to that landfill.
Right.
So it's a good.
You know, if you're looking at this thing, when you're starting to do recycling, I think the question last time was about food cans, and it might have been Danny that asked about the tin cans that your food and stuff comes in, and I wasn't for sure, but they are definitely on there. The one that stands out to me is the styrofoam, because most people go, oh, styrofoam, can't use it, but the place we're taking it actually has a contraption that melts it, and it puts it into like a ball that looks like a ball of yarn, basically. It gets much bigger, and then once it gets to about the size of this thing, they ship it off, and it's really dense and really heavy. But the styrofoam was the thing that really caught my eye when we were making these and putting these together. As well as the printer ink cartridges, because we just throw those away.
Any other comments, questions, concerns? So I don't know, do we need a motion for this, Tom, do you think? So I'll just direct
No,
the city
it's not,
attorney
it's
to
not an
go over the-
action item, so I think we
Okay,
can take
excellent.
some direction here.
Excellent. So
Yeah,
we
I
look
think-
forward to making progress on that quickly.
When you guys get ready, just holler at me and we can sit down and make it work. But again, we're trying to shoot for mid-May with that service agreement so that we can start June 1st if that falls in line with what you guys think you can do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much, appreciate it. Next on the agenda is item number 4H, discussion, consideration, possible action, I've been waiting on this, by the way, for approving a dumpster decorating contest sponsored by the Durant Beautification Committee. Mr. Hightower.
Yes, the committee would like to host a dumpster decorating contest for the downtown, for other businesses in town. Chairman Humphrey and myself are on that committee. What I left with you would be the contestants' sign-up sheet. They would have to present us with their design that they want to put on their dumpster before it's allowed. They're going to be first place, second place, third place award, and this all depends on how many businesses actually sign up. If there's 10 or less, it will not take place. So, any questions?
Do you have an example of these decorated dumpsters that other people have done?
No, I have not.
I was hoping, I was curious.
The city employees aren't eligible to enter, right?
That's right, yeah.
So-
Well,
we
so
can't-
he
we
can-
can't
I was
do
just
that.
curious, because
He
I
can
think
have
I've
all the
read,
ideas he wants, it's not gonna.
I think I watched that meeting and they were talking about that, so I was kind of curious to see if there's any pictures of anything.
I'm just thinking like long-term here, if you have people start painting their dumpsters, I mean, they're asking for approval for this, but will this spur other people to decorate their dumpsters without approval, without design approvals?
Is there painting involved here, or is
Yeah.
it just?
Painting?
like-
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
but they
paint,
can't
yeah.
cover the city logo.
Yeah.
It
They
has
can't-
to
yeah,
remain.
and which actually are,
conspicuous.
I saw that they
most of
can't
our
cover the
dumpsters
city
don't
logo, I
have
saw
a
that.
city logo on it anymore.
But I didn't know if it was temporary or permanent, that's why I wasn't sure.
No.
You
Yes,
can-
they would be painting. Ma'am? Yes,
Yeah.
if it's approved by the committee.
And Councilman Miller is also putting up part of the prize money as well. so
Yes, he is.
Yes, I am.
I saw
that's
that, yeah.
something to consider as well.
I guess, I mean, like I said, I'm worried about the policing of unapproved designs.
That was the same question that I had today.
Well, and
There are
that's a
rules.
very valid concern, because if at some point you get into First Amendment, because approved is what I might think is tasteful, somebody else might not. Most of what I think is tasteful, probably somebody else doesn't. But that becomes a balancing act for the city on approving designs. So it does open a door there that could be.
Well,
I think
mean,
Councilman Miller's got a
treacherous.
steady hand when it
Well,
comes to that. I
Like, what's the
truly do.
criteria though? Like, what's the criteria? Because obviously there's a criteria that you have to, right? It's not just like, hey, do whatever you want type of thing.
I'm not worried about the 20 people that are gonna sign up to do this. I'm worried about the other people that get inspired by it and just go out and decorate their
'Cause
dumpster
I can
6
promise
months
you-
later.
Vandalism.
I can promise you, my
Right.
tastes are
Yeah.
different than Tom's. I can promise you.
One of the criteria, they're talking business logos or names will not be allowed on the dumpsters. You may, however, use a theme of what your store reflects for your business. Say if you're a clothing store, you can draw a dress on it.
This is just down on Main, you said, or is it
Citywide.
citywide?
Citywide.
Citywide.
I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I'm just saying there's some things we should be careful of.
I'll just say, no one in the room, it wasn't their idea, it was the other people's, but I have to entertain every idea that comes by, so.
Now, they've done this other
Very
places,
good.
I know, I think I've read when y'all talked about it, so, and it turned out reasonably okay. I guess in the worst case, we just say, hey, no more decorating the dumpsters, and
Right, calling into it,
we paint them.
right? Paint them green again,
Yep.
paint's cheap. Right.
Or go back and not do the logos, you know,
Right.
not do a theme. They either be solid painted colors or something like that.
Any other comments or questions for Mr. Hightower or Councilman Miller for that matter?
Do we still have a surplus of that green paint? Just in case?
May need it. Huh. All right, well, do I hear a motion then on item 4H?
I motion to approve 4H.
A second.
Yep.
We have a motion and a second to approve agenda item 4H. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Miller,
Hey,
yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu,
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Hightower.
Thank
I
y'all.
appreciate that. At this time, I'm going to pause the city council meeting and call into order a meeting of the Durant City Utilities Authority this April the 9th. The clerk will call the roll.
Trustee Miller,
Here.
Trustee Shear,
Here.
Trustee Fuller,
Here.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Here.
Chairman Tucker.
Here. The first and only order of business is the consent item number 1A, which is to approve the minutes of the March 12th meeting, which, as I recall, was to approve the minutes of the February meeting. So that being the item to consider, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item 1A of the consent agenda. The clerk will call the roll.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes. There being no other items on the agenda for the City Utilities Authority, I move that we adjourn that meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting of the Durant City Utilities Authority meeting. The clerk will call the roll.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes. We stand adjourned. At this time, I would call to order a meeting of the Durant Airport Authority. And the clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Miller,
Here.
Trustee Shear,
Here.
Trustee Fuller,
Here.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Here.
Chairman Tucker.
Here. The first and only order of business again is item 1A of the consent items, which is to approve minutes of the regular meeting held on March the 12th of this year. I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item number 1A, the consent agenda. The clerk will call the roll.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes, there being no other items on the Airport Authority agenda for tonight, I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting of the Durant Airport Authority. The clerk will call the roll.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes, we stand adjourned. Now, at this time, I will call to order a meeting of the Durant Development Authority. The clerk will call the roll.
Trustee Miller,
Here.
Trustee Shear,
Here.
Trustee Fuller,
Here.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Here.
Chairman Tucker.
Here. The first and only item of business tonight under order of business, item 1 consent items is item A, consider approval of regular meeting minutes held back on January 9th of this year. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve regular minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item number 1A. The clerk will call the roll.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes. There being no other items on the agenda tonight, I move for adjournment of the Durant Development Authority meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. The clerk will call the roll.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Shear,
Yes.
Trustee Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Simulescu,
Yes.
Chairman Tucker.
Yes. Now we are back in regular session with the Durant City Council, and we're going to move into an executive session item. We have a couple of items on tonight's agenda. Item 1 is consider an executive session for confidential communication with the attorney concerning pending claims against the city. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to enter an executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the Durant City Council to move into executive session. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu,
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes, we're in executive session. Thank you. We'll be back shortly. 6:16 p.m. We're back in regular session for the Durant City Council. We're on agenda item executive session 1. We've completed that. We have completed items 1A and 1B in executive session. Now we're down to items 2 and 3, which are to consider action pursuant to those 1A and 1B items. And tonight there will be no action necessary to consider for either of those executive session items. So that gets us down to new business for the Durant City Council tonight on April the 9th. Is there any new business to come before the City Council tonight? Hearing none, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the Durant City Council. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Shear,
Yes.
Councilmember Fuller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Simulescu,
Yes.
Mayor Tucker.
Yes, we stand adjourned, and thank you all very much.